everyone. How's it going? Matthew Bailey Media here. And welcome to another 2023 film review. Now, this isn't necessarily part of my main movie reviews of 2023, but I thought I should discuss my thoughts on this movie after realizing it came out today, just like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which I will have a review up for that too, whether that's before or after this video. But for this movie / film that I'm reviewing, I actually feel like I need to talk about it because there are some people out there who are not too happy with this movie for its messaging, and however some people like myself, and I know some other people I know are actually in agreement with this, that they made the right decision of making this film and mocking this sort of concept, and that is South Park joining the Panderverse.
You serious?
Now, if you're wondering, I am not a South Park person. I never watched the original show. However, when I heard that this show was making a movie like this, where the reason why it's called Joining the Panderverse is because it basically takes jabs at the quote-unquote woke Hollywood, and I will say I'm not in support of woke Hollywood, not in the slightest, but there are some times when I'm willing to give certain projects a chance, as long as they don't bring too many political things into a project. And with this specific film, they really took jabs at specifically Disney, and more specifically Kathleen Kennedy, who, as we all know, has been in charge of Star Wars ever since 2012, I think, because that's when they first bought Star Wars, was in 2012. So it's been 11 years. And what have we seen in that 11 years from Star Wars? Well, to be fair, the first thing we actually got, I think, was the movie Star Wars: The Force Awakens. That was, I think, the first movie we got from the new Disney version of Star Wars in 2015. Then we got movies like Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and Han and Solo, A Star Wars Story. And I will say Rogue One, I think, was okay, and somewhat of The Force Awakens, but it was like the second you released movies like the Han Solo movie, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, and then they released all these different TV shows, everything except for The Mandalorian, at least seasons 1 and 2, seemed to be hated by all Star Wars fans, and I have to agree with them. I mean, there are so many aspects that went wrong with Star Wars after they were bought out by Disney 11 years ago. And again, the only projects from Star Wars that have come out that seem to be okay with most people are the seventh movie, The Force Awakens, and the first two seasons of The Mandalorian. Everything else that has been coming out has just been hated by Star Wars fans, at least as far as I'm aware. But again, we're not even talking about Star Wars. We're talking about South Park. This movie, I think, not only did it take a jab at Star Wars and specifically Kathleen Kennedy, but it did make a lot of points when it comes to certain aspects of why woke Hollywood is just not working in entertainment, and why so many people have been walking away, especially from Disney recently. It seems like other studios are starting to realize the faults or whatever, and have fired a lot of people who are in support of that, pushing that agenda. Like for example, I heard that when we first got Velma earlier this year on HBO Max, which is now known as Max, I think the second they realized that people were hating on that show, and it was originally the #1 hated show on TV ever, until a new show that just came out. I haven't seen it yet, but I know people have been hating on it that have seen it. It's a show called Robin Hood that's apparently only airing in Canada right now. And boy, oh boy, are they not happy with a lot of these. Not only did they race swap on the character of Robin Hood, but they also gender swapped the character, and they think that is like one of the worst things you could do, is doing both at the same time, not just race swapping, but also gender swapping a character. And now they didn't do that with Velma, but of course they shoved a bunch of different identity politics and a bunch of political ideologies into the dialogue of certain characters, especially Velma, since it is her show. And with this, what this movie South Park ends up doing is explaining like how things should actually work when it comes to doing like characters with diversity and all that sort of stuff. I can see why so many people are against this whole race swapping of a character and even gender swapping too. I mean, just doing one or the other is really risky. Now, the one show that's coming out, though, that I'm willing to give a race swap a chance is the character of Annabeth Chase in the Percy Jackson show, which ironically, the first 2 episodes actually air on my birthday, so this year. So I don't know if I'll immediately do a review of the show after watching the first 2 episodes, but we'll see what happens. But with this movie, again, I never watched the original South Park show except for maybe a long time ago when my dad used to watch it, and I think he still kind of watches it. So I'm actually curious if he's going to watch this freaking film on Paramount Plus if he has that. But, ooh boy, that was kind of funny. And this movie really actually fully exposes what woke Hollywood is doing to all different types of projects that we've had over the last few years. But it seems like out of all the stuff, Star Wars for sure had the worst of it, even not right after their very first project in The Force Awakens. And it was all thanks to the CEO of that studio, Kathleen Kennedy, who before she became the CEO of Lucasfilm back in 2012, she seemed to make other movies with people, and they used to earn a ton of money. Think movies like E.T., and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. That was apparently a movie that she made, and even the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. She made all of those, and even the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which even though that movie didn't do as good, people are really hating on what they did with the 5th movie of Indiana Jones. And it's all thanks to Kathleen Kennedy. Or I should say it's all Kathleen Kennedy's fault that this is happening. And some people think that they really need to change their strategy, especially at Disney. Because you look at every single thing that's been getting like race swaps or gender swaps or whatever. And especially doing both together like they did with the Robin Hood show that is the worst of it. And again, this movie fully explains why the whole woke Hollywood agenda is clearly not working and they need to change. So I actually really enjoyed this film for what it was, even if it was South Park, and I barely watched South Park as I was growing up. But anyways, let me give you my rating of the film. So yeah, like I said, this movie was something I was not expecting to really like, especially because I never watched the original show. But when I heard that this was going to be fully taking the jab at woke Hollywood, which is what we've gotten from a lot of different projects lately, especially Disney, with certain projects like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You had that. You had Lightyear, Strange World. I think even National Treasure: Edge of History kind of got affected by this whole thing with pushing certain politics and certain lines. So far, those are the only 4 results. Oh, scratch that. Peter Pan and Wendy was another example. Now, I know some people are going to also mention The Little Mermaid. I didn't hate that movie. It was okay for what it was. But all the other 5 results I just mentioned, those were all Disney related, and you can tell that those were fully affected by woke Hollywood, and that's just for movies. Now, and then you look at certain shows that have come out, like from Star Wars, certain Marvel shows like Secret Invasion and She-Hulk: Attorney at Law, and I think even Ms. Marvel kind of falls into that category. They are just being totally affected by woke Hollywood, and it's just getting ridiculous. Now, I'm hoping that the last remaining Disney property to come out this year for movie-wise is Wish. And hopefully that ends up being really good. Because it is an original story. Well, to be fair, Strange World was also a Disney original, and that clearly made no sense. But then you look at the movies that came out before that, like Raya and the Last Dragon and Kanto. Those were and turned out pretty well. And hopefully this one does too with Wish. So we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm going to give South Park Joining the Panderverse a solid 5 out of 5. That you may find that shocking or whatever, that I'm giving a movie where I never even watched the show a solid 5 out of 5. But it's mainly because of the message they were pushing throughout this film about how they think woke Hollywood is screwing everything up, or how pushing a woke agenda is just screwing things up both in Hollywood and in real time. And if any of you are sort of in support of the whole agenda and you do watch me, I'm sorry if I made you upset, but that's just my thoughts. But anyways, that's all for now in this surprise movie review, and I will see all you guys in the next video.